When you are stuck in a financial tight spot and need a quick cash buffer, few things are as frustrating as opening a financial app only to hit a rigid requirement wall. Must set up direct deposit to qualify. For freelancers, gig workers, tipped employees, contractors, or anyone who receives payments through cash, paper checks, or irregular transfers, that single requirement can completely block you from accessing emergency funds. This brings up a critical question. Can you actually use Credit Genie to get a cash advance without having a direct deposit set up? If you look at Credit Genie's official App Store listings, marketing materials proudly highlight no direct deposit required in big bold text. However, if you talk to actual users or look at how the app functions under the hood, the answer gets significantly more complicated. To understand what is really happening, you first have to look at how modern fintech and earned wage access apps evaluate risk. Traditional banks look at your credit score. They pull your credit report, check your payment history, and decide if you are worth the risk. Apps like Credit Genie take a completely different approach. They don't run a hard credit check. Instead, they rely on financial algorithms that scan your linked bank account via secure services like Plaid. When an app claims it doesn't require a direct deposit, what it strictly means is that you do not have to route your primary employer's payroll directly through their app or switch your official paycheck settings. However, the app still needs proof that money is regularly coming into your checking account. Credit Genie's automated underwriting engine looks for specific indicators of stability before approving what they call a cash boost. It evaluates three main factors: steady income history, account age, and active balance patterns. Even if that income isn't formally coded as an ACH direct deposit from a traditional W-2 employer, the app's system scans for recurring deposits, whether those are transfers from gig apps like DoorDash, Uber, or Instacart, regular Venmo or Zelle transfers from clients, or mobile deposit checks. This is where many users run into a major roadblock and experience real anxiety. You download the app, see the promise of no direct deposit required, link your bank account, and wait for approval. Then, instead of getting an advance up to $150, you are offered $0. Or, worse, you find out that while you might technically qualify for an advance, you are paying recurring account connection fees or subscription fees without getting access to any cash. Why does this happen? Because while Credit Genie doesn't mandate a formal direct deposit, its system heavily favors accounts with predictable, recurring income streams. If your deposits are irregular, for example, if you make $500 one week, $50 the next, and nothing the following week, the algorithm flags your account as high risk. The fear for most users in this scenario is twofold: the fear of falling into a trap where subscription or connectivity fees drain an already hurting bank account, and the fear of getting hit with unexpected overdraft fees if an app automatically tries to withdraw repayment when your balance is low. To navigate this without damaging your finances, you need to understand the realistic mechanics of using Credit Genie without a traditional direct deposit, along with actionable strategies to maximize your chances of getting approved safely. First, let's talk about account preparation. If you don't have a standard employer direct deposit, your linked bank account must demonstrate consistency in other ways. Credit Genie generally requires an account that has been open and active for at least 60 to 90 days. It looks for a consistent history of positive balances, meaning you aren't constantly dipping into negative territory, and a regular cadence of incoming transfers. If you are a gig worker or freelancer, try to batch your cash outs so they hit your bank account on predictable days of the week rather than cashing out tiny amounts 5 times a day. This creates cleaner, recognizable deposit patterns that automated algorithms can read easily. Second, be deeply aware of the true cost structure. Credit Genie offers small advances, typically ranging from $10 to $100 for first-time users, up to $150 for repeat users. While there is no technical interest rate charged on the advance itself, there are potential costs attached. Credit Genie charges a recurring bi-weekly bank connection fee, often around $4.99, just to keep your account connected, plus optional fast funding fees if you want the cash in minutes rather than waiting a few business days. If you borrow $30 and pay a $4.99 connection fee plus a $3 instant transfer fee, that small advance becomes exceptionally expensive in percentage terms. Always calculate total optional and required fees against the actual cash you receive. Third, if Credit Genie denies you due to a lack of traditional direct deposit, do not panic and do not repeatedly force reapplications without changing your financial pattern. Instead, consider alternative platforms that explicitly cater to non-traditional income earners. Apps like Dave, Clio, and Earn each have different risk models. For example, some apps specialize in detecting gig economy payments specifically, while others allow you to link electronic timesheets or debit card history rather than relying purely on ACH deposit codes. Finally, the ultimate actionable takeaway when dealing with cash advance apps without a direct deposit is to treat them as temporary bridges, not financial foundations. Before taking an advance, confirm the exact date the app plans to automatically debit your account for repayment. Mark that date on your calendar and ensure you have a buffer left in your account so the repayment doesn't trigger a $35 overdraft fee from your primary bank. Credit Genie can indeed work without a formal employer direct deposit, but only if your linked bank account shows enough steady, non-direct deposit cash flow to convince the algorithm you can pay it back. By managing your deposit consistency, reading the fee fine print carefully, and keeping track of repayment dates, you can handle emergency cash needs safely without falling into a costly cycle of app fees.